Hi guys. If you guys are watching this video, you've probably seen 1,000 videos about 3D and we just shifted into 5D and timelines and I'm following another timeline. Well, I kind of wanted to make this video so you guys understand a little bit of the physics behind it and how it's not really as mysterious and complicated as people make it sound. For one thing, everything works the same. Everything is growing. The only thing that never changes is that nothing ever stays the same. So to say that I'm following a different timeline, it would be total BS, right? There isn't another version. Now, if there is another version of me that's walking next to me in an alternate universe, it really can't walk along with me along the same pathway, if that makes sense. Because I'm never going to be the same person every single day, right? That just doesn't make sense. So how does that work? Well, to be perfectly honest, it can't work that way. Every timeline is a growth cycle, and everything grows. We all change, and as the Earth starts moving into higher and higher dimensional realities, where there's more energy moving through our solar system, then you have to move more information through your biofield, which means your frequency has to elevate. So that process will continue to happen more frequently, and it will expedite and get faster as we get closer to before our solar system actually moves into the opposite pole of the galaxy. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, let me show you. Imagine our galaxy is at the center of a big toroidal field. And as the Earth and the solar system move through cycles, or a full precession of the equinox, it's actually moving in a sine wave that's going through the halfway point of this big toroidal field. So on the top side is one pole, and on the bottom side is another pole. If we knew which way we were looking and we could figure out which side of the Milky Way we were looking, one side would be positive, the other side would be negative, and it's all coming from and going back to the same point, which is what everything does in a toroidal field. That's what it does in your own heart. So as we go through this half cycle, which we're getting really close to moving through this half cycle, the field is collapsing. It's exactly like an electrical circuit. And so as soon as it gets right through the equatorial plane, the field will collapse all the way and you will become a pure conductor for a very short amount of time, which means the entire time that we move closer to that point, you will have to keep going through frequency upgrades in order to move more and more information to become a better and better conductor as your field collapses. Now the same thing happens on day and night cycles, right? Your field expands when you sleep and it collapses during the day as you start to become more active and move around, you become a better conductor. During the night, you become a better insulator as the field expands. This is simple electrical theory, where you are more of an insulator if your field is expanding and you're more of a conductor when the field collapses. That's how generators work, and that's how everything works. So let's think about that a little bit and go to the next video. I love this representation of this picture because it really, whoever made this original picture did a really good job at showing that basically everything looks the same. You know, your toroidal field looks like the galactic toroidal field, which looks like the Earth's toroidal field. You're just living in a larger and larger organism, and the further out you look, the longer the cycles are, and the closer in you look, the closer together the cycles are. For example, if you look at an atom, it is moving roughly 100 trillion times faster than you are moving. So the cycles are moving so fast, you can't even see the structure that's there. Everything is just a structure capturing a specific amount of energy from source, which is light slowing down through slower and slower cycles. And so we're living in three-dimensional reality. We're actually living in multiple realities at the same time, but you're accessing certain amounts of information depending on what kind of field you're in. And since we're going through, our field is collapsing on a long-term cycle in the solar system, we're accessing higher and higher parts of ourselves along one timeline. You're always operating in one way, right? Because the Earth's path through the galaxy is not in multiple places. You're just accessing a lot more information, and so you can choose what information that you're accessing at any one time. It's true that there's only ever now, and you can access everything all at the same time once you get into a meditative state. But to say that you're jumping timelines is just kind of a rough way of saying I'm changing my energetic, the way I'm experiencing reality energetically, or I'm raising and lowering my frequency from a day-to-day basis depending on my growth cycle. Now, speaking of growth cycle, let's look at that picture. Here is a growth cycle. Growth cycle is cyclic. You know, it runs in a sine wave going up like this. And so you might feel very high energetically one day, and then it feels like your frequencies drop the next day. Well, you're always moving up and growing, and your frequency is steadily increasing, and so you're breaking through boundaries. You'll feel, oh, you might feel real great, but all of a sudden now, because you feel so good, you've raised your frequency, and now you have to deal with other blockages that you have in your biofield in order to break past that one. And so this is this cyclic pattern that we see, that we're also seeing in our solar system. Imagine Earth moving in a 1-year pattern around the sun, so it's also doing this miniature sine wave as the solar system moves on its own sine wave towards the galactic equator, at which point the field will completely collapse, the sun will go dark for supposedly 3 days. I mean, that's what the texts say, right? Is that the sun will go dark for 3 days. People will freak out and seek death and not find it because there's so much energy going through the system that if you haven't unblocked all your blockages and all your fears by then, you will probably go crazy. So that is the reality of what we're going through. I really want to make this video for you guys so that you understood just kind of the simple mechanics of what's happening. If you understand electrical theory and how generators work, or any electrical theory works, conductors are a collapsing field. And everything has a capacitance. The higher the capacitance, the bigger the field, the more of a resistance to the flow of energy it is. The field collapses, becomes a conductor, and then things flow. So the higher the current, the smaller the field. Hope this makes sense for you guys. I love you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're just moving from higher density reality where there's so much information and energy going through it that we have to go through this process. And who knows what will become. We'll know here pretty soon in 10 to 15 years, because that's kind of the expected date. Everyone kind of expects us to go through the equatorial plane in sometime around 2033, 2034, somewhere in there, about 10 years from now. Maybe it'll be less, maybe more, who knows? Only God knows, right? But it'll be a fun ride getting there, and I'm going to see all you guys there. Take it easy.